We'll see. So now we're up to installing the electrics, which shouldn't be too hard. All we need is some cable, extra cable. The cable that's provided is way too short, and also the lugs on the end of it were way too small. So I saw some more. So we need cable. We also need a circuit breaker, a 60 amp circuit breaker, which I also sourced from J-Car. I might add that the J-Car cable 8AWG is tinned, preventing corrosion, while the piece of cabling that came installed on the motor is not. And then we need a battery, which I've already obtained. And where do we position the battery? Well, inside the half cab. And I've put it on the starboard side, even though I would have liked to have placed it right in the center of the boat. But that would have prevented easy access up to that forward hatch, which is necessary to deploy the unit. The next consideration is a battery box. Well, I already had one. Here it is here. It's a beauty. Comes with all the bells and whistles. It's got Anderson plugs, and it's got cigarette lighter sockets, and it's got USB ports, and it's got a voltage meter and a circuit breaker. But unfortunately it's way too complicated for what I want to do, so I've decided to go with a very basic adjustable battery hold down, which I also obtained from J-Car, $10. Well, as you can see, the wiring's now complete. I just used the tie downs for the battery, and that was easy to install. I've got too much cable there. I'll have to loop it up and cable tie it out of the road. Here's a close-up view inside the boat of all the electrics that I'm using to run the Minn Kota. First of all, I'm looking at the cable. I had to attach an extra length of 8 AWG power cable, which I sourced from J-Car. Coming back, now we're looking at the battery itself, 115 amp hour battery, and a circuit breaker. The circuit breaker is a 60 amp circuit breaker, which also, because it's got a test button, will act as an isolation switch. The battery is clamped down using some battery hold downs, $12 from J-Car. I didn't even have to screw them to anything. I just drilled some holes in the bench, and the hooked ends of the hold downs go through the hole, and when they're in a vertical position they can't slip out, and they hold the boat firmly in position. And that's about it. I just followed all the directions as they're shown in the instructions. The instructions were pretty light on, and I had to go looking for further explanation on the Minn Kota website, which wasn't easy to use. You've got to play around with it a little bit until you find the information that you want. Okay. The next step is going to be to put on the new bow rail. I was going to put bow rails on both sides, but I think one should be sufficient. You can see it there. It's a little high at the moment, it has to be cut off. And brackets will be welded on. At the moment I've got some dummied up, which are just held on by clamps so we can see how it's going to look. And things are going pretty well. Well, don't you love it when a plan comes together? The unit is finally installed. The unit and the other essentials. Remember, I had to remove the other bow rail. Well, I've now replaced it with this new bow rail. Not really a bow rail, more a rail, a grab rail for my decky, who I think is going to use it when he has to come up the front to retrieve the unit. And another handrail, which will also aid in that process when he has to walk around this side deck to come up the front. I always thought the retrieval process was fairly easy. It might be on some of the other units, but as far as I can see on the Powerdrive, it's fairly difficult. And it helps if someone can stand directly above it and then pull up with all their weight. Sitting here, you can see the only materials that I've got left over: 6 rubber washers and 1/4 inch bolt. On other YouTube installation videos, some of the people who did the job thought that these were essential and had to be put underneath the unit, but from my reading they're only to be used to level up the unit if it's not sitting horizontal in position. Well, tomorrow we're going down to the estuary and we're going to launch the boat and test the whole show out. I think we can be able to deploy easy enough through this front hatch area. I'm not even going to bother replacing the hatch window unless I really have to. Okay, well, good luck for now. In my very first clip, I said I would show you my solution to the fact that the head of the Minn Kota protrudes past the edge, the gunnel rubber of the gunnel rubber, and there was a possibility it could come into contact with some obstruction when I was reversing or going forward. Well, here's my solution. I've attached a stainless steel bumper bar to the side of the boat, and the bumper bar, which originally was going to be another one of those handrails that I have at the front on the port side, well, it's been cut off. We've put a couple of lugs on the end, and now, rather than the head of my Minn Kota coming into contact and causing any damage, we now have this bumper bar which will take the impact and will solve that problem. So this is it, the final test. We're looking at Tony, my decky, who's responsible for deploying and stowing our spot lock. Never again will he have to anchor. We put it in and it's working. It seems to be working fine. At the moment, we've got it on spot lock. And as you can see, we've got about at least 15 knots of wind. And we've been sitting almost exactly in position, according to some landmarks we've taken. Almost exactly for the last 5 minutes. Have we moved? Yeah, we're moving a little bit. The wind's moving it. And then we sort of move back a little bit. Have we moved much? I don't think we've moved more than 5 meters from where we started off from especially on this western landmark. Well, Tony, the first time we deployed the motor, Tony went up through the hatch, but now he's climbing round the side, the port side, and he's moving up the front using all the specially designed handrails, and now he's going to deploy it. How easy is this? You got to punch it down. And there it goes. Fully deployed. Easy peasy. Now he will stow it. Oh, Tony, you're a genius. Short side, yes. And done. Now safely making his way back around the side, the port side. Plenty of hand grips, stepping down onto the milk crate, safely back inside the boat. Mission accomplished.